What's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Okay, so it looks like Quando Rondo and his team are assembling and they're trying to get some money out here, man. They said, forget it. We're tired of being cramped up, not doing any shows, and we need to get out here and show these new songs that we've been flexing online to the fans. So what did he do? He got with other members from 4K Trey, and it looks like Quando Rondo's about to have his first big show. Now, don't forget, the last big show Quando Rondo tried to have, it went a little crazy, man. They had to shut the show down. It was a whole bunch of stuff going down, and that was the show in Macon. Now, after the show was probably more of a show than the show would have been anyway, if that makes any sense. Because Quando Rondo assembled his team of goons. They all were in the black khakis. He went live, smoking a square. It was crazy, man. And he was talking about what they were ready to do that night if there were any type of problems. Now, with this next show, I don't know how it's going to go down, but I can tell you the lineup and get to the specifics of how it's looking. Now, before we get into the specifics, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and man, let's get it. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about Quando Rondo and this show with 4K Trey. It looks like they trying to represent like some big dogs, man. So it looks like they booked a show in Waycross, Georgia. Now, for those of you who don't know or been under a rock lately, man, Quando Rondo has had a tough time booking shows. There was a rumor after the King Von situation that Lil Durk was going and buying out the bottles and the sections to his show and causing issue with the promoter where they didn't want to have anything bad happening at the shows. And that kind of went away because Quando Rondo stopped having shows. And Quando Rondo kind of went back to the studio and worked on making more music. Now, recently, Quando Rondo has surfaced again. You've had news about his boy Lil Tim getting out of jail. You had news about some members of their team, you know, making shots and doing different things at the opposite side. I'm not going to instigate it, but you know what I mean. Now, Quando Rondo is officially about to set out here and get a show going, man. It looks like he's the headliner for the show because he's at the middle of the flyer, and we're going to see how this thing turns out. Now, let's not forget how the last show turned out in Macon. Now, for those of you who don't know, Quando Rondo had a show in Macon. It was scheduled shortly after the whole King Von thing a couple months back, right? And it just didn't go well, man. There were so many rumors around this. The rumors around it and all the antics before and after the show were bigger than the actual show probably would have been if everybody would have just let the show be. But, man, let's look at a little flashback clip of Quando Rondo after the show got canceled.
The mayor and the police done canceled the show, cuz. Got me blown. We've been ready.
As you saw in that video, Quando Rondo had a whole team of goons with him, man. I'm talking about they had vests on, they had all sorts of type of stuff, man. I don't want to make it hot for them, but they were well equipped, we'll say that. And it was a lot of them, man. And they all were in these like dusty, dirty looking Dickie suits, man. So it looked like they wasn't showing up to do a show. It looked like they were showing up for some type of confrontation or something like that. But, I mean, hopefully Quando Rondo doesn't have the same situation happen. Now, with that Macon show, the news came out and said that the mayor shut it down because there was actually a shooting like the night before. And with the King Von thing and the whole thing going on in Georgia, like some people tipped off the mayor that this show was just a bad idea to have in Macon. Because Macon is too accessible for anybody who lives in Atlanta, be it anybody, say, on that little Durk side and all them, you know what I'm saying? Or anybody who lives in Savannah, you know, Quando Rondo and his team is from Savannah, right? But this time with the show being in Waycross, the closest cities are Savannah, big cities are Savannah and Jacksonville. Do I think they're going to have any type of issue? I doubt it this time. But the roster on this is packed full of 4K Trey artists. So it's looking like, man, they were going for a theme, and it looks like they're going to be moving as a unit going here and forward, man, because you got Quando Rondo on the bill. Then you got NBA Meechy Baby. Now, NBA Meechy Baby is, I guess he's NBA Youngboy's cousin is how he explained it. And he was like, I want to say he was like Boozilla's cousin. Don't get me wrong. He's related to a lot of people in the rap game. And yes, he's a rapper. But dude has been vocal in his support for NBA Youngboy and Quando Rondo throughout these situations, right? He's talked about situations like when 600 Breezy came out and said he was on his way to Baton Rouge. Meechy was one of the people to step out front of that and first start talking, standing up for 4K Trey and the city of Baton Rouge and letting it be known when nothing like that gonna be happening. Then you got BBG BabyJoe on the list, man. He's actually on the show. So BBG BabyJoe is probably one of the most touted members from 4K Trey outside of NBA Youngboy, man. BBG BabyJoe is probably, he's got to be the second most famous person out of that crew besides Quando Rondo now. I guess, man, you'd have to say Quando Rondo is more famous now because Quando Rondo is famous for a lot of the wrong reasons, man. Now, with this show packed full of artists that are on their roster, and obviously everybody's going to have their team assembled, everybody's going to have their entourage, it looks like you'd have to be foolish to go up to the show trying to start any mess or create any type of problem. So I don't want that. Hopefully nobody from, who thinks that Quando Rondo and them are their ops have any feelings like that. And hopefully we don't have a scene like the last time play out. I mean, to be honest, that was ridiculous. Like, it was so much going on. And it was major news sources talking about the whole situation, like what went down in Macon, about the show getting canceled, about Quando Rondo's response. And we were living off those clips for a while. When I say living, I don't mean like getting paid. I'm talking about like everybody was reading up on that, and there was a whole bunch of news about that for a while. And you could see that Quando Rondo was going to have to, because of that situation, go into hide it. Not saying he was hiding from anybody, but he would have to hamper down and wait before he could do shows again. Now, a lot of time has passed by. Cooler heads might prevail. I don't think that everybody is still on the stuff they were around November, December, time frame, or January time frame and February time frame. I think now that we're getting deeper into the year and we're so far removed from the situation, even though, to be honest, it was like 6 months ago, I think that, man, people aren't going to be as amped up, and emotions won't drive them to do anything wild, man. Now, what do you guys think? Man, before we get to that, man, before we cut it off, man, let's talk about something else. Now, Quando Rondo met up with Angela Yee for his final installment of that, that backseat interview that he had. And in that, it was interesting, man. I didn't do a whole video because he really talked about a lot of stuff that I just didn't agree with. And I didn't want a whole video of me saying, oh, Quando Rondo is all cap. Like, everything he's saying is all cap. But in that final installment, when he talks about the naming of his song, End of Story, I just didn't agree with that. I didn't buy it. When he called his friend and said, hey, man, look, Angela Yee, look, I got my friend here, man. He'll admit that I named this song Last Story or End of Story or whatever. It had nothing to do with King Von, and it came off weak, man. It sounded like all cap to me. And Quando Rondo, sometimes even when he's telling the truth, it sounds like cap. So I don't know where to take him. So I didn't say anything about that at the end, you know what I mean? Or make a whole video about that last installment. But I did watch it, and I wasn't impressed. Now, that's no diss to Quando Rondo, to be honest, man. It's just his storytelling and the way that he talks within that thing, it was off-putting for me, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who was on that. I know he's got a lot of fans. He makes great music. But, man, it hit me in the wrong place. Now, with that being said, what do you guys think about this whole show situation? What do you think about him going away across Georgia with all of 4K Trey and a whole entourage and everybody deep, man? It's less likely to have any kind of situation, I'm thinking. And what do you guys think about this whole last installment of that backseat interview he had with Angela Yee, man? Do you think he was all cap, or am I pushing it a little bit now with that? Now, with that, this has been your boy Big Man. Do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.